other than
a guarantee. And that's the only reason. It's not possible.
Why would we put that at risk, anything other than in my brain?
Shockwaves ripple through the walls of what was once billed as a carefully orchestrated reality TV family, as new revelations from the latest season of Sister Wives peel back the layers of manipulation, betrayal, and emotional neglect. Viewers are left questioning everything they thought they knew about Kody Brown, Robyn, Christine, Janelle, and Meri, as the curtain rises to reveal a narrative far more complex, unsettling, and deeply human than the staged smiles and scripted moments we've been sold for years. What unfolds is not just family drama, it's a masterclass in emotional control, selective attention, and the corrosive power of favoritism, all wrapped in the glossy package of reality television. At the heart of this tangled web lies the fractured dynamics between Kody, Robyn, Christine, Janelle, and Meri, a hierarchy of attention and affection that exposes the raw edges of polygamous life. Janelle and Meri enter the narrative with expectations. Coyote Pass, a property tied to years of collective labor, unresolved debts, and personal histories, becomes the epicenter of tension. They anticipate Kody stepping in to manage, organize, or clean up, believing in a shared responsibility that has long been assumed but rarely realized. Yet Kody's response is startlingly indifferent. There is no urgency, no spark of concern or empathy. In his eyes, Janelle and Meri have never truly been kind to him, never genuinely aligned in loyalty or understanding, and thus their expectations fall flat against a wall of deliberate disengagement. It is a striking portrayal of emotional detachment, one that reveals how family obligations, even in the most intimate polygamous households, can fracture when loyalty is questioned and personal gain overshadows collective responsibility. Kody's actions, or deliberate inactions, speak louder than any scripted apologies or staged goodwill, demonstrating that control over perception can be more important than the messy reality of shared life. Christine, standing as the lone voice of clarity amidst this orchestrated chaos, emerges as the essential lens through which the audience begins to understand the true gravity of the situation. She observes, documents, and calls out the preferential treatment and repeated emotional betrayals, making her the unofficial narrator of truth in a household dominated by manipulation. The evidence is stark. Kody consistently prioritizes Robyn over Christine and his children. A pattern emerges of late-night visits to Christine's home, where he remains emotionally absent, disengaged from his children and her, only to rise early and direct his attention immediately toward Robyn. Every carefully staged smile in front of cameras, every narrative spun for the audience, hides the stark reality that Kody's loyalty, and perhaps his affection, is not equally distributed. Christine's perspective reveals a household in which selective attention operates as a form of emotional dominance, a technique of control that shapes not only relationships, but also the perception of those relationships to the outside world. The audience is confronted with an unsettling question: what part of what they see is performance, and what is raw, unmediated truth? This dynamic of selective engagement extends beyond mere favoritism. It borders on psychological control. Kody's repeated absences from Christine's life are not accidents. They are a calculated prioritization that sends a clear message to everyone in the household about where his loyalties lie. Christine herself recounts episodes where she would alert him to a child's urgent needs, only for Kody to remain physically present but emotionally distant, choosing instead to spend the day with Robyn. These moments are punctuated with deliberate gestures: a kiss goodbye with Robyn, a hurried exit from Christine's home, and a visible shift of focus that underscores neglect and emotional manipulation. The pattern is repetitive, predictable, and highly orchestrated, reflecting a form of domestic favoritism that has tangible emotional consequences for Christine and her children, leaving them feeling abandoned, undervalued, and invisible in their own home. Yet, the narrative is complicated further by the involvement of Janelle and Meri, whose interpretations of Kody's behavior serve both as reinforcement and contradiction. While Christine documents the neglect and favoritism with raw honesty, Janelle and Meri appear on camera providing commentary that glosses over the harsh realities. They frame Kody's actions as a redemption tour, a self-imposed effort to reconcile past grievances, yet the pattern revealed by Christine's meticulous observations suggests otherwise. It is a carefully curated public performance designed to rebrand Kody's image. Every apology, every gesture of apparent fairness, is packaged for consumption, leaving viewers to discern the fine line between genuine contrition and calculated image management. This contrast between the lived reality and the broadcasted narrative introduces a layer of meta-drama, inviting audiences to become detectives of truth, parsing actions, gestures, and off-camera reports to understand what is authentic and what is theatrical. Time and again, the sequence of events lays bare Kody's imbalanced attentional economy. Nights spent at Christine's home, mornings devoted to Robyn, and deliberate avoidance of household responsibilities that fall to Janelle and Meri reveal a man negotiating his priorities with strategic care, often at the expense of emotional bonds. Christine's perspective provides the unvarnished lens. She sees a pattern of repeated neglect and emotional abandonment, punctuated by performative moments designed to maintain appearances. The drama is compounded by children witnessing these behaviors, understanding that their father's attention is conditional, and learning early on that emotional proximity is mediated by favoritism rather than fairness. This is not merely a story of adult conflict. It is a narrative in which children are involuntary participants in a drama that shapes their understanding of trust, loyalty, and parental availability. The story deepens when considering the implications of Kody and Robyn's relationship within the broader household ecosystem. While Christine and her children navigate the realities of neglect, Robyn occupies a position of emotional centrism. Her needs, presence, and emotional demands take precedence, shaping the allocation of time, attention, and affection in ways that leave other family members marginalized. The sequence is not random. It is highly structured, with repeated behaviors establishing clear hierarchies and emotional rules within the household. Kody's compliance with Robyn's implicit expectations, combined with Christine's vocalization of injustices, creates a high-stakes interplay between obedience, performance, and emotional negotiation that is rarely visible to the casual viewer, yet is central to understanding the dynamics at play. Christine's role, therefore, cannot be overstated. She functions as both a witness and an analyst, offering the audience a roadmap to navigate the murky terrain of partiality, neglect, and the psychological manipulation embedded within this polygamous household. Her accounts illustrate not just instances of neglect, but also the emotional calculus underlying Kody's decisions, the strategic selection of attention, and the unspoken hierarchies that govern family life. Through Christine, viewers are reminded that reality television is not merely entertainment. It is a lens through which human behavior, power dynamics, and the distribution of emotional labor are amplified, scrutinized, and occasionally distorted for narrative effect. By juxtaposing the publicized narrative of harmony, shared responsibility, and redemption against the private reality of favoritism, neglect, and orchestrated appearances, the season offers a case study in manipulation and selective perception. Kody's actions, Christine's commentary, and the on-camera performances of Janelle and Meri create a rich tapestry of tension, revealing how reality television can obscure, distort, and dramatize human behavior while simultaneously revealing the harsh truths of domestic life. In this context, favoritism becomes a form of emotional currency, attention a tool of control, and public gestures of reconciliation a form of image management designed to influence perception while masking reality. As viewers navigate the narrative arc of the season, they are presented with a spectrum of human behavior, from blatant neglect to quiet resistance, from emotional manipulation to courageous truth-telling. Christine's unwavering commitment to honesty acts as a counterweight to the performative elements surrounding her, illustrating the profound difficulty, and often personal cost, of telling the truth in a household structured around appearances, attention hierarchies, and the selective distribution of affection. Meanwhile, Kody and Robyn's carefully orchestrated behaviors serve as a reminder that control over perception is as powerful as control over physical space or material resources, and that the narratives broadcast to the public are frequently curated, staged, and strategically manipulated to convey messages that may diverge sharply from the lived experiences of those within the household. As the season unfolds, the narrative grows even more tangled with the revelation of Kody and Robyn's relationship dynamics, exposing a stark contradiction between public claims and private realities. They repeatedly assert, both on camera and in interviews, that their monogamous life is not a choice. They did not select a monogamous path. Yet, the lived reality tells a different story. For years, they have functioned as a de facto monogamous couple, isolating themselves emotionally from other family members. The pretense of choice masks a carefully constructed hierarchy of attention and loyalty, designed to maintain control and influence over the family narrative. Robyn's repeated insistence that she married Kody exclusively for polygamy adds a further layer of psychological pressure. By continuously reminding Kody that he is insufficient, that he does not measure up to the expectations of a plural marriage, she exercises a subtle but pervasive form of emotional leverage. This is not mere marital disagreement. It is a calculated deployment of uncertainty and control. Viewers witness a dynamic in which Robyn's words and actions systematically reinforce Kody's sense of inadequacy, generating a climate of stress and anxiety. Kody's oscillation between obligation, desire, and guilt illustrates the emotional tightrope on which he is forced to balance, while the rest of the family navigates the fallout of this selective intimacy. Kody's allocation of time serves as a tangible demonstration of this imbalance. Episodes highlight how he consistently prioritizes Robyn over Christine and the children, creating an unmistakable hierarchy. A striking example emerges during an emergency involving his daughter Truly. Despite the urgency, Kody remains physically present with Robyn, completely absent from his daughter's critical needs. The stark neglect is amplified by the casual, almost ritualistic manner in which he transfers attention from one household to another. Christine recounts instances of Kody spending late nights at her home, remaining emotionally disengaged, only to depart early in the morning and immediately focus his energy on Robyn. These actions are not isolated. They form a persistent, systematic pattern that communicates a clear message about where his loyalty, affection, and attention are concentrated. The ramifications of this selective devotion are profound. Christine and her children experience repeated emotional abandonment, a dynamic amplified by the performative nature of Kody and Robyn's public behavior. Every smile for the cameras, every staged interaction, conceals the reality of imbalance, neglect, and favoritism that dominates the family's private life. Emotional labor is unevenly distributed, and the subtle orchestration of attention functions as a mechanism of control. By prioritizing Robyn while neglecting his other familial responsibilities, Kody inadvertently reinforces Robyn's leverage, ensuring that the imbalance remains both visible and invisible. Visible to those within the household, invisible to the viewing audience until carefully documented by Christine. This selective attention also creates an intricate network of unspoken expectations. Kody's obligations toward Christine and other children are deferred or dismissed, while his emotional and physical energy is concentrated on Robyn. The broader implication is a household governed not by fairness, shared responsibility, or mutual care, but by strategic prioritization, emotional manipulation, and calculated appearances. Christine's narratives and observations provide the crucial counterpoint, exposing the fissures and contradictions hidden beneath the show's polished surface. What emerges from this season is a portrait of power and control exercised through intimacy. Robyn wields emotional leverage with precision, Kody's attention is a tool of compliance, and the public narrative becomes a stage upon which these dynamics are both hidden and dramatized. The resulting tension resonates across every household interaction, from the minor irritations of divided chores to the emotionally charged neglect of children's needs, illuminating how selective devotion can destabilize not only relationships but the very emotional infrastructure of a family. Through Christine's unflinching observations, the audience gains a rare and essential perspective, a view into a system in which favoritism, manipulation, and emotional leverage are normalized, yet deeply damaging. She highlights not only the inequities of time and attention, but also the mechanisms by which Kody and Robyn maintain their public image while exercising private control. This duality, between appearance and reality, performance and truth, underscores a core theme of the season. In a household structured around selective attention and emotional calculation, what you see is rarely what you get. The story is further intensified by the juxtaposition of public narrative and lived reality. On camera, Kody's gestures are framed as reconciliation, redemption, or attempts to balance relationships, yet Christine's first-hand accounts consistently reveal the opposite. These actions are performative, designed to preserve an image while maintaining private hierarchies. Every strategic interaction, every orchestrated moment, reinforces the imbalance, ensuring that Robyn remains central while others are relegated to the periphery. For viewers, this duality offers both intrigue and frustration, as the layers of reality and performance collide in ways that are at once dramatic, instructive, and deeply unsettling. In essence, the season is not merely a reality show. It is a case study in emotional control and family dynamics under extreme scrutiny. Kody and Robyn's monogamous functioning within a plural marriage, combined with selective attention, neglect, and emotional leverage, creates a system in which hierarchy and favoritism are both overt and covert. Christine's voice stands as a beacon of clarity, exposing the truths that the public narrative conceals, highlighting the consequences of neglect, and offering a lens through which audiences can interpret the calculated behaviors of those orchestrating appearances for television. As the cameras roll, the contrast between staged drama and lived reality becomes stark, almost jarring. Janelle and Meri, ever the promoters of Kody's positive image, attempt to paint him as a man of integrity, a devoted husband, a steady father. Their efforts, however, are carefully choreographed performances, designed less for truth and more for spectacle. It is the classic machinery of reality TV, a veneer of harmony overlaying a deeper, far more fractured family dynamic. Christine, in contrast, provides a piercing counterpoint. She sees what the cameras cannot fully capture: the neglect, the favoritism, the calculated manipulation that shapes every interaction. Her honesty comes at a personal cost, often rendering her alienated, maligned, and sidelined by those invested in maintaining the illusion of unity. This is not mere exaggeration. The season illustrates a pattern of image crafting masquerading as genuine familial reconciliation. Kody's so-called redemption tour is emblematic of this manipulation. On the surface, he appears contrite, even heroic, a man attempting to mend old wounds. Yet Christine's careful observations reveal a more cynical reality. Every gesture, every publicized act of reconciliation is strategically calculated to reshape his image in the eyes of both family and audience. Coyote Path's property sales, the distribution of assets, and the choreographed apologies are not acts of intrinsic generosity. They are meticulous exercises in reputation management. Here, drama is not incidental. It is the very medium through which Kody seeks to control perception, crafting a narrative that casts him as fair, just, and honorable. Christine's mantra of justice, justice, resonates throughout the season, offering the audience a rare glimpse of moral clarity amid the spectacle. While Kody and Robyn manipulate appearances, Christine signals that the consequences of deceit and favoritism are inevitable. She hints at a reckoning. Those who have wielded power and influence for self-interest, masking neglect and manipulation beneath staged performances, will ultimately face accountability. Her words echo like a warning, emphasizing that the narrative constructed for television often obscures the real dynamics at play: the selective devotion, the inequitable attention, and the emotional leverage that dictate the rhythm of daily life in this household. Robyn's character adds another layer of complexity. Frequently portrayed as reserved, emotionally controlled, and introspective, she exudes a calm, measured presence. Yet Christine's insights suggest that Robyn's demeanor is far from simply serene. By comparison to Christine's vivaciousness and humor, Robyn often appears muted, emotionally restrained, and, in the eyes of the audience, less compelling. Her control over Kody is subtle but deliberate, employing emotional leverage and psychological positioning to ensure her centrality in his attention and priorities. The contrast between her composed, often somber persona and Christine's more expressive, engaging presence fuels the season's tension, creating a tableau in which restraint, manipulation, and silent influence play as significant a role as overt actions. Kody himself emerges as a dual-natured figure, oscillating between public performativity and private preference. On one hand, he strives to present himself as a repentant, just, and morally upright husband and father. On the other, he consistently demonstrates favoritism toward Robyn, neglecting the emotional and practical needs of his other spouse and children. His attention is not evenly distributed. It is directed strategically, reinforcing Robyn's influence while leaving Christine and her children marginalized. In this interplay of selective devotion, the audience witnesses a disturbing yet fascinating study of power, control, and self-interest within a domestic microcosm. Kody's duality, performing virtue while prioritizing personal comfort and relational favoritism, exposes the complex intersection of image, reality, and manipulation that defines the season. Through Christine's eyes, the audience gains access to the hidden truths of this household. Her perspective illuminates the gap between televised portrayals and the actual experiences of family members, revealing how selective attention, emotional control, and strategic storytelling shape perceptions. She embodies the courage required to speak truth in an environment structured around image and deception. In doing so, she teaches viewers that reality television, for all its drama, often conceals as much as it reveals. Relationships are complex, hierarchies are manipulated, and the personal cost of honesty is frequently isolation. Christine's unwavering commitment to truth underscores a vital lesson. The integrity of perception relies not on the spectacle presented, but on the willingness to confront and articulate uncomfortable realities. Ultimately, this season serves as both a cautionary tale and an analytical lens for viewers. The curated narratives of Kody and Robyn, the performative positivity of Janelle and Meri, and Christine's unflinching truth-telling coalesce into a narrative rich with lessons on deception, emotional manipulation, and the power dynamics inherent in family life. The audience is reminded that appearances, no matter how polished or dramatized, rarely reflect the complexities and tensions underlying domestic reality. Through the juxtaposition of stagecraft and lived experience, viewers confront a striking truth. In families governed by selective attention, strategic favoritism, and emotional leverage, the ability to recognize and value honesty becomes both a survival tool and an ethical imperative. Christine's role is a testament to the courage required to speak against illusion, and her clarity offers a guiding light for those willing to see beyond the surface of reality television. Thanks for watching. His attention is not evenly distributed. It is directed strategically, reinforcing Robyn's influence while leaving Christine and her children marginalized. In this interplay of selective devotion, the audience witnesses a disturbing yet fascinating study of power, control, and self-interest within a domestic microcosm. Kody's duality, performing virtue while prioritizing personal comfort and relational favoritism, exposes the complex intersection of image, reality, and manipulation that defines the season. Through Christine's eyes, the audience gains access to the hidden truths of this household. Her perspective illuminates the gap between televised portrayals and the actual experiences of family members, revealing how selective attention, emotional control, and strategic storytelling shape perceptions. She embodies the courage required to speak truth in an environment structured around image and deception. In doing so, she teaches viewers that reality television, for all its drama, often conceals as much as it reveals. Relationships are complex, hierarchies are manipulated, and the personal cost of honesty is frequently isolation. Christine's unwavering commitment to truth underscores a vital lesson. The integrity of perception relies not on the spectacle presented, but on the willingness to confront and articulate uncomfortable realities. Ultimately, this season serves as both a cautionary tale and an